He slid the expense report across our kitchen table like it was a corporate invoice. The paper made a soft scratching sound against the marble we'd picked out together in Italy 3 years ago. $847.32. Noah's voice was flat, mechanical. That's your half for this month's groceries, utilities, and the streaming subscriptions we share. My hands were shaking. I'd been unemployed for exactly 9 days. 9 days. I stared at the spreadsheet he'd printed out. Color-coded. Cross-referenced. My name in one column, his in another. Red highlighting where I was deficient. What Noah didn't know, what his lawyer mother had convinced him I'd never figure out, was that losing my job wasn't my rock bottom. It was my launch pad. And the business I'd build wouldn't just replace my income. It would become a lifeline for hundreds of women trapped in the same nightmare I was living. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me take you back to the beginning. Before we go any further, if you believe financial abuse is real and marriage should be a partnership, please hit that subscribe button. It's free, and it helps stories like mine reach the women who need to hear them most. Now let me tell you about the week that changed everything. Monday, March 14th. I walked into the office of Hammond & Associates, the marketing firm where I'd worked for 6 years, expecting another regular day. Instead, I got called into the glass conference room at 9:47 a.m. I remember because I was checking my watch, wondering if I'd forgotten a meeting. Jennifer Hammond sat across from me, flanked by HR Director Patricia, who wouldn't meet my eyes. Maya, we're restructuring. Jennifer's voice was too gentle, which is how I knew. Your position is being eliminated effective immediately. The words hit like a physical blow. 6 years of 60-hour weeks, of campaigns that won awards, of revenue I'd personally generated, gone. Jennifer slid a severance packet across the table. Week's pay. Standard. This isn't about your performance, Patricia finally said. The board wants to bring in someone with digital experience. I've been running their digital campaigns for 3 years. I drove home in a fog, my mind racing through numbers. Our mortgage. My car payment. The credit cards Noah insisted we keep separate. For autonomy, he'd said. The severance would cover maybe 2 months of my share of expenses. 3 if I was careful. I found Noah in his home office at 2 p.m., day trading on 3 monitors. He'd made partner at his mother's law firm 2 years ago, but he still played the market like it was a video game. I lost my job, I said from the doorway. His fingers paused on the keyboard. 2 seconds of stillness. Then resumed typing. When? Today. They gave me 8 weeks severance. He finally swiveled his leather chair around. It was the expensive one I'd bought him for his birthday, back when I thought grand gestures mattered. Well. He steepled his fingers, a gesture he'd picked up from his mother. I guess we'll need to adjust the household budget. Not, I'm sorry. Not, we'll figure it out together. Not even, are you okay? Just adjust the budget. That night, he poured himself a scotch, Macallan 18, the bottle that cost more than my monthly car payment, and disappeared into his office for a phone call that stretched past midnight. I sat alone in our living room, staring at the city lights through floor-to-ceiling windows, wondering when my unemployment had become a logistical problem instead of our problem. The expense report appeared exactly 1 week later. I'd spent those 7 days in a haze of LinkedIn updates and recruiter calls, each one ending the same way. We'll be in touch. The job market had shifted. Positions that would have been mine 2 years ago now required certifications I didn't have, experience in platforms that hadn't existed when I'd started my career. But Noah had been busy too. I just didn't know it yet. That Sunday morning, he called me to the kitchen table. I thought maybe he wanted to actually talk about what we were going through. Instead, he opened his laptop and pulled up a spreadsheet that made my blood run cold. I've been analyzing our finances, he began, and something in his tone felt rehearsed and somewhat distant, making my stomach drop. Maya, you've been covering approximately 42% of household expenses. I've been covering 58%. He turned the laptop toward me. There it was. 18 months of expenses, categorized, calculated, color-coded. Mortgage, utilities, groceries, even the Hulu subscription I barely used. Moving forward, he continued, and I noticed he wouldn't quite look at me. We need to split everything 50-50. It's only fair. Fair. My voice came out smaller than I intended. Noah, I just lost my job. Which is why we need to be more intentional about finances. My mother helped me understand. Your mother. She pointed out that I've been essentially subsidizing your lifestyle. If we're truly equal partners, you need to carry your weight. His mother, Diane Thornton, senior partner at Thornton & Associates, the woman who'd worn white to our wedding and told Noah he could do better at the rehearsal dinner. The woman who called me Maya from HR, even though I'd worked in marketing. I should have seen her fingerprints all over this. So let me understand. I was proud of how steady my voice sounded. You want me, unemployed for 1 week, to suddenly pay 50% of a mortgage on a house you insisted we buy, in a neighborhood you wanted, with a payment that's 3 times what I was comfortable with? It's our house, Maya. We both live here. The house that's in your name because your mother said it would be cleaner for taxes. He had the decency to look uncomfortable. Almost. I'm trying to help you understand financial responsibility. By charging me rent in my own marriage. It's not rent. It's partnership. I looked at this man I'd loved for 8 years. The man who'd proposed on a beach in Thailand, who'd cried at our wedding, who'd once driven 4 hours in a snowstorm because I was sick and alone at a conference. When had he been replaced by this stranger? I need to think, I said, standing up. The first payment is due this Sunday. I'll need your portion of. I walked away before he could finish. In our bedroom, my bedroom now I guess, I opened my laptop with shaking hands and did what any woman in 2024 does when her life falls apart. I Googled financial abuse in marriage. The results made me nauseous. Controlling all finances. Restricting access to bank accounts. Forcing a partner to account for every dollar. Creating financial dependence to maintain power. I thought about the joint account Noah had closed 2 years ago because separate finances are more modern. The credit card I'd had to apply for myself because he said it would help my credit score. The way he'd started sitting Jimmy on every household expense receipt, always with a little note about keeping track. Then I searched his browser history, something I'd never done before, something that felt like crossing a line, but the red flags were everywhere now. I found it at 2 a.m. Legal separation, assets protection. Date searched, 2 months ago. Before I lost my job. He'd been planning this. And I'd bet everything that Diane had been whispering in his ear the whole time, planting seeds, building a case for why her precious son deserved better than the woman who just worked in marketing. I sat there in the darkness, illuminated only by my laptop screen, and felt something shift inside me. Not breaking. Crystallizing. If Noah wanted to treat our marriage like a business transaction, fine. But he was about to learn that I was very, very good at business. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I made lists. First list. Every single thing I'd done for Noah and our household in the past year. Every dinner party I'd planned for his colleagues. Every gift I'd chosen for his family. Every thank you note I'd written on his behalf because you're so much better with words. Every early morning I'd woken up to make his breakfast because he claimed he couldn't function without it. Every work event I'd attended, playing the perfect partner, making small talk with people I'd never see again. I assigned dollar values. Professional event planner rates. Personal shopper fees. Executive assistant hourly wages. Private chef costs. The number made me laugh out loud. Then cry. Then laugh again. Second list. Every skill I had that I'd been giving away for free to friends, family, Noah's colleagues. Marketing strategy. Brand development. Social media management. Crisis communications. I'd built Hammond and Associates' entire digital presence. What was stopping me from doing it for myself? Third list. Every woman I knew who'd ever said, I wish I could afford to hire someone to help with my business, but it's so expensive. The list started to merge into something. Not a plan yet, but the shape of one. At 6 a.m., I texted my friend Rachel, who ran a small bakery in Brooklyn. Crazy question. What would you pay someone to manage your Instagram and handle your marketing? She responded in 30 seconds. Maya, are you offering? I've been drowning. I could do $500 per month to start. $500. For maybe 10 hours of work. Work I could do in my sleep. I spent the next 2 days reaching out to every small business owner in my network. Not pitching, just asking questions. What did they need? What could they afford? What were they currently trying to do themselves and failing at? The responses flooded in. By Friday, I had 3 unofficial clients. By Sunday, the day Noah's first 50-50 payment was due, I had 5. When Noah found me at the kitchen table that morning, I was working on a social media calendar for a boutique fitness studio in Manhattan. I had exactly $847.32 in cash waiting in an envelope. You're up early, he said, pouring his coffee from the pot I hadn't made. Working. I slid the envelope across the table without looking up from my laptop. That's this month. He opened it, counted it. I could feel his surprise even without seeing his face. Where did you? Consulting work. I've got several clients now. That's good. He sounded uncertain, like this wasn't part of the script. I'm glad you're taking initiative. Taking initiative. Like I was a child learning to tie my shoes. I looked up at him, then really looked at him. He was wearing the suit I'd picked out, the tie I'd bought, standing in the kitchen I'd decorated, about to eat the groceries I'd be paying half for. And I felt nothing. No anger. No love. Just a cold, clear certainty. This marriage was already over. I was just the only one who knew it yet. Months 1 and 2 were survival mode. I created an LLC, Maya Martinez Marketing and Brand Consulting. Filed the paperwork online at 2 a.m. on a Tuesday. Paid the fee with the last of my severance. The confirmation email felt like a birth certificate. I worked from coffee shops because being home with Noah felt like moving through a museum of our failed marriage. Every room had memories I couldn't afford to think about yet. Rachel, the bakery owner, became my first real success story. I revamped her entire social media presence, created a simple content calendar she could maintain herself, and ran a targeted ad campaign that cost her $200 and brought in $3,000 in new orders. He told everyone. And everyone told everyone. By month 3, I had 12 clients and revenue of $7,800. More than I'd been making at Hammond & Associates, working half the hours. Noah noticed. How could he not? I was taking calls during dinner, working on my laptop in bed, traveling into the city 3 times a week for client meetings. You're doing well, he said one night, and I heard something in his voice. Surprise. Respect. Something that sounded almost like pride. I am, I replied. Maybe I should get you to look at the firm's marketing. We could use a refresh. I charge $5,000 for an initial consultation. He laughed. Stopped when he realized I wasn't joking. Maya, I'm your husband. And this is my business. Those are my rates. Something flickered across his face. Was it the first time he'd actually seen me as someone separate from him? Someone who didn't exist just to serve his needs. I went back to my laptop. He stood there for another moment, then left. Month 4 brought a breakthrough. Angela Rodriguez. She found me through a mutual friend. Showed up at a coffee shop in Tribeca, looking like she hadn't slept in weeks. 40s, impeccably dressed, exhausted eyes. I don't know if you can help me, she started, and then the story poured out. She'd been a VP at a tech company, married to a man who'd convinced her to quit when they had kids. 15 years later, those kids were in college, and her husband had just filed for divorce. She had nothing in her name. No recent work experience. No financial independence. He says I'm entitled to nothing because I didn't contribute to the marriage financially. His lawyer says I was a voluntary homemaker, and that limits my settlement. I saw red. Not just for her. For every woman who'd been told her labor didn't count because it didn't come with a paycheck. Do you have documentation? Emails about household decisions? Records of anything you managed? I ran the entire household, managed the rental properties, handled all the contractors, planned every business dinner. I was essentially his unpaid COO. Then let's prove it. I spent 3 days helping Angela document every single contribution she'd made. We built a portfolio showing her project management, vendor relations, property management experience. Then I introduced her to a lawyer friend who specialized in equitable distribution. Angela's settlement ended up being $2.3 million plus alimony. She paid me $10,000 for my work and asked if she could refer other women to me. Only if they need help, I said. Oh Maya, they all need help. That's when it clicked. My business wasn't just about marketing. It was about showing women what they were worth. In dollar terms the world understands. By month 6, I was out earning Noah. I didn't tell him. He didn't ask. We'd become roommates who occasionally attended the same social functions. He paid his half. Paid mine. We barely spoke. Diane noticed something was different at the firm's summer party. I saw her watching me across the lawn, her calculating eyes missing nothing. Maya, she cornered me by the dessert table, champagne in hand. Noah tells me you've started some kind of business. A marketing and brand consulting firm, yes. How quaint. Playing entrepreneur. She smiled with too many teeth. Of course, once you and Noah start a family, you'll need to put that aside. A mother's place is. I won't be having children with Noah. Her smile froze. Excuse me. We're separating. I'll be filing next week. It was the first time I'd said it out loud. The first time I'd admitted what I'd known since that Sunday morning expense report. Diane's face cycled through shock, anger, calculation. If you think you're getting 1 cent from my son, I don't want anything from Noah. I'm buying him out of the house, actually. My lawyer is drawing up the papers. That part was true. I'd found a house, smaller, older mine, in a neighborhood Diane would never set foot in. I'd already been approved for the mortgage based on my business income alone. You can't afford. Can't I? I met her eyes. Your son taught me something valuable, Diane. He taught me to value myself in dollars and cents. So I did. And it turns out I'm worth quite a lot. I walked away before she could respond, leaving her sputtering into her champagne. Noah found me 20 minutes later by the pool. My mother says you told her we're separating. We are. Maya. Noah, be honest. When was the last time you actually wanted to be married to me? Not to the idea of marriage, not to the household manager I became, but to me. He opened his mouth, closed it, looked away. That's what I thought. I didn't mean for it to go like this. I know. You meant for me to quietly accept being diminished. Become smaller and smaller until I disappeared entirely. That's what your mother wanted, wasn't it? For you to have a wife who needed you, who had no choice but to stay because I had nothing of my own. That's not. The papers are being filed Monday. I've already retained counsel. We'll split everything equitably. You keep your retirement accounts, I keep my business. We sell the house, split the proceeds. Clean break. What about the money I gave you? The support during your unemployment? I had to laugh at that. Noah, I paid you every single dollar you demanded. Every single one. Have receipts. Cancelled checks. You didn't support me. You charged me rent to sleep in my own bed. His face went pale. I'm not angry anymore, I said, and realized it was true. I'm grateful. You taught me exactly what I'm worth by showing me what I wasn't worth to you. And it turns out I'm worth a hell of a lot more than I thought. Noah found me 20 minutes later by the pool. My mother says you told her we're separating. We are. Maya. Noah, be honest. When was the last time you actually wanted to be married to me? Not to the idea of marriage, not to the household manager I became, but to me. He opened his mouth, closed it, looked away. That's what I thought. I didn't mean for it to go like this. I know. You meant for me to quietly accept being diminished. Become smaller and smaller until I disappeared entirely. That's what your mother wanted, wasn't it? For you to have a wife who needed you, who had no choice but to stay because I had nothing of my own. That's not. The papers are being filed Monday. I've already retained counsel. We'll split everything equitably. You keep your retirement accounts, I keep my business. We sell the house, split the proceeds. Clean break. What about the money I gave you? The support during your unemployment? I had to laugh at that. Noah, I paid you every single dollar you demanded. Every single one. Have receipts. Cancelled checks. You didn't support me. You charged me rent to sleep in my own bed. His face went pale. I'm not angry anymore, I said, and realized it was true. I'm grateful. You taught me exactly what I'm worth by showing me what I wasn't worth to you. And it turns out I'm worth a hell of a lot more than I thought. That was 18 months ago. Today, Maya Martinez Marketing and Brand Consulting has 7 employees. All women, 5 of them formerly in situations like Angela's. We do high-end brand work for companies that pay premium rates. And we use 20% of our revenue to provide free services to women rebuilding their lives after divorce, abuse, or economic hardship. We call it the Visibility Project. Because women's work has been invisible for too long. Last month, we crossed $500,000 in annual revenue. This month, we're launching a workshop series. Your Worth in Dollars. Financial Literacy for Women Leaving Economic Abuse. Angela co-teaches with me. She's getting her MBA now at 56. She says she's never been happier. I'm not either. Happier, I'm different. Stronger. I know exactly what I'm capable of, what I deserve, and what I won't accept. The house I bought. It's small. The mortgage payment is reasonable. Every piece of furniture I chose myself. There are plants on every surface because I love plants and Noah hated them. The walls are covered in art from local artists I've met through clients. It's mine. Oh, mine. And that matters. Noah reached out last month through a mutual friend. Wanted to see how I was doing. I heard through the grapevine that he and Diane's firm lost a major client after some ethical complaint. I heard he's dating someone new, someone younger, someone his mother approves of. I hope he's happy. I genuinely do. Because here's what I learned. His betrayal was the best thing that ever happened to me. Not because revenge is sweet, though I won't lie, there were moments of satisfaction. But because being forced to value myself in the most literal sense possible showed me I'd been undervaluing myself for years. Every dinner I cooked, every party I planned, every thank you note I wrote, every client I charmed, every strategy one developed, every hour I spent making someone else's life run smoothly while mine fell apart. It all had value. Had value. I just needed someone to try to put a price on me to realize I was priceless. These days, when women come to my office, and they come every week now, referred by friends, by lawyers, by therapists, I tell them this. The moment someone tries to make you pay for existing in their life, that's the moment you realize you were paying all along. You were just paying with pieces of yourself you can never get back. The only question is, are you going to keep paying, or are you going to send them a bill? Most of them laugh at that. Some cry. All of them understand. Because financial abuse doesn't always look like control. Sometimes it looks like fairness. Sometimes it comes wrapped in spreadsheets and expense reports and reasonable conversations about responsibility. But abuse is abuse, whether it's calculated in bruises or calculated in dollars. And the best revenge isn't destroying the person who hurt you. It's becoming so completely, undeniably, unstoppably yourself that they can't help but see everything they lost. Noah lost a woman who would have moved mountains for him. I gained myself, my business, my purpose. I'd say I got the better deal. If this story resonated with you, if you've been in a relationship where money was used as control, where your contributions were invisible until you stopped making them, where you were told you weren't enough while simultaneously being told you should be grateful, I want you to know, you are not alone. Your work has value. Your labor has value. You have value. And if someone in your life is trying to convince you otherwise, that's not love. That's control. What was your favorite part of Maya's journey? Drop it in the comments. And if you know someone who needs to hear this story, share it. Subscribe for more stories of women who refused to stay small, who built empires from rubble, and who learned that the best revenge is becoming exactly who you were meant to be all along. You're stronger than you think. And you're worth more than anyone ever taught you to believe.